I wanted to talk about is Romaine, and Romaine has a very modest yet impressive average daily P&L. That P&L is just $287 a day, which is phenomenal, especially considering that Romaine has been in this account for 53 trading days that have been completed. And again, I know I talked about last week how it really starts stacking up even with these modest numbers. It's all about limiting the losses. And Romaine I chose right at 49%. All thought about rounding that to 50, but keeping it true.
I would have let that slide.
But Romaine at 50% winning trades, their average win-loss for each trade is a win of $599 and a loss of $273, which is stellar.
Right.
And to give everybody some idea of how that does really stack up with time is Romaine's account has over $9,000 in it, and they've taken $6,200 in payouts just from this account. So really going well, adding up, and probably we're going to be looking deep at Romaine to see if we can bring them up to live and see what they can do in the live markets. There are still a bunch of things to consider with it, but it looks very good on paper.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I love the reward over risk. You know, you're right half the time. You're right for twice what you're wrong. You're going to make money over time. I tell people that all the time. I mean, that's how you can build an empire, is with those kind of metrics and that kind of consistency. I'm glad he's taking a payout. He's making it real. Started out the account really kind of slow. He was really in a hole on that first day and ended up bringing it back, and then stayed really close to the bone for a few days after that. Ended up having a pretty good day. Not a really active trader, Brett. I mean, he's only taking 1 or 2 trades a day, and I love that. That's kind of me these days. I'm not trading a lot. I don't want to overtrade. I'm going to be taking, hopefully 2-to-1 rewards over risk, and just kind of building the account here over time.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that as far as their time frames go, because the time frames for these trades being that they're just taking 1 or 2 or 3 trades a day, and their selectivity of the trades is just stellar. Their average trade time is about 30 minutes, which that can certainly be an eternity. But Romaine is doing, like you said, 1-2 average of 3 orders per day in the markets, and typically a clip size of 3 contracts. So they're just doing 9 contracts on average a day, and love to see that with the selectivity. And I mean, one thing that I had mentioned and alluded to earlier is Romaine is doing something that is extremely difficult for a lot of traders. I feel like all of them, any trader has ever struggled with it, and that's maintaining discipline as the numbers do continue to get bigger. And
he's not really sizing up yet then, is he?
Exactly. His consistency has been impeccable as far as limiting the exposure to the markets and taking winners and getting out of losers. The one thing that I would say for Romaine that you may notice in looking at their trade report, John, is, and I was hesitant to even put this, but they get caught sometimes trying to trade out of a hole. And a lot of times it has worked, which is impressive in and of itself, as it is really tricky to trade out of a hole.
It is.
And I mean, a lot of times it just gets worse. And I've said it before, and John, maybe you can give some feedback on this. It seems like in my experience, 20% of the time it works. And that's the worst thing that ever happens, because then I think about, well, 2 or 3 times ago it worked. I accidentally put a trade on and it became a good winner.
Right.
And that is not how we should be trading. Have anything that you've experienced, John, as far as, it worked?
Yeah, but I'm so aware of that. You know, if I do something like that and I know I get paid for bad behavior, then I just slap myself on the wrist and say, don't do that again. And eventually, over time, it will probably happen again. But it seems like with Romain, if it starts bad, it goes bad. And he's done a really good job, I think, of on a couple of days when, the things didn't go well, he walked away. He walked away down $9. He walked away down $82. To me, that's discipline. That's saying, you know what, I'm probably not seeing it this way. I'm probably not seeing it well. Maybe I should just walk away. And to me, that's one of the more difficult things to do, is to walk away on a very small losing day. And he's good at it.
Yeah.
Except for one day. One day he started out in the hole and he overdid it, and that was his biggest loss in the account.
Yeah. And his highest volume days are those days that have the highest negative P&L. One other thing about Romain that is kind of mind-blowing, the intraday P&L high-low, the average. 457 for the high, 131 for the low. That is fantastic.
Yes.
And that is intraday. And Romain's best day is just shy of $3,000 at about $2,800. And what I'm trying to get at is you don't have to make $20,000 in a day to be successful. The most successful ones do it successfully with this method,
systematically, instead of swinging for the fences. Although, we do have some guys that are swinging for some fences and doing pretty well, but I like the guys that do it a little bit every day, build it, stay in your comfort zone as far as the risk is concerned for as long as you possibly can, and then start to add a little bit to your trading plan. And I think Romain's done a good job. He's got some money in his account. He's not trying to over leverage right now. I think Romain's going to do a good job moving forward.
Exactly. Romain is kind of just a quiet trader. That the guys that the traders that you were referencing, John, are the traders that the risk team does spend a lot of time and attention on, because they are flying all over the place somewhat. They have found success with it, and we all hope that continues, but it's a tough emotional and financial roller coaster to
100%.
To stomach, like you were saying.
That's what I was saying. Brady, they eat a lot of Tums.